Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my Persona 3 Reload perspective. Yeah, I played it on Steam, and that's why I got this little paper thing. So, I really got into Persona through Persona 5. Alright, trying to learn how Atlus does this kind of stuff. I like Persona 5, I like Metaphor, I've attempted to play some Shin Megami Tensei games, and they just really aren't for me. They're the more kind of dungeon crawling kind of aspect, and I can definitely see how this was the kind of inflection kind of point, because it's got that kind of stuff with the dungeon kind of crawling, with the social sim aspects, and they're not as well baked as like Persona 5, which you're probably going to be looking at me like, what the fuck are you kind of talking about, man? Well, this came first, and it's pretty much the remake of that. And I did get like Persona 3 Portable and like Persona 4 Golden, but since I saw that they were doing remakes, I was like gonna hold off and then play these kind of ones. Which, by the way, it's pretty kind of shitty to do DLC of like the Aegis episode, which is like the answer. I did not get that. And I'm glad that I didn't, because I don't like this as much as Persona 5. Mainly because of how Persona 5 did its whole kind of stuff with dungeons. I even like Metaphor more than this. There's just a lot of different kind of aspects. I don't think it's a bad game. They're just things that stop me from enjoying it on a level that I would put it on with Persona 5. It's like down to the story, Tartarus as the biggest kind of one, and the social links. Like, I remember more of the social links of like Persona 5 and how they were pretty much kind of memorable enough where like, okay, yeah, but they wouldn't kind of like repeat certain, not repeat, but it felt like wheel spinning on certain kind of things. Now, I also have to say that what they did with the social link for Aegis was fucking stupid. You pretty much finish her right before the, like, end final battle. Like, I thought Haru was bad in Persona 5, and then just fucking just like, hey, if you want to, like, pretty much get anything up with Aegis to get her social link done and Romancer, you are fucked. And that really sucks, because she's, I mean, I liked, most of the romance options are pretty decent enough. I mean, Yukari and Mitsuru, one of the like the two main ones that like work with you in the group, are pretty good. Like Chihiro, you're like, Yuko's at least better than that. You kind of do a thing with Elizabeth, the attendant of the Velvet Room, but Aegis is the best kind of one with what kind of goes on, even though it's kind of weird that she's the kind of ship one, because as you delve into the story, she evidently sealed death in the in the main protagonist as he was a boy. Like, his parents were like killed on this like bridge, and she's like, I gotta stop this thing, and then just like, I'm going to seal it in this boy. I was like, okay. And it was weird that there wasn't any more kind of pushback. I'm like, yeah, you're a robot, but your, like, options were, like, I can't beat this thing, so I'm going to stuff it in a kid. And nobody's kind of pissed about that? I mean, I almost said Ryuji, but that's because Junpei is pretty much Ryuji, but Ryuji is kind of better. Junpei really gets fucked up with pacing unevenness, where he goes through kind of portions of being a dick or doing stupid fucking shit, but then gets really kind of cool, kind of like, alright, I'm sorry I fucking did that kind of shit, let's be kind of chill and do this kind of shit, because he's always got main character syndrome of like, I would like to be the main character, but I can't. I mean, they at least give him a girlfriend who fucking sacrifices herself, and then somehow, for some reason, comes back. Yes, this is a game about death and accepting death and shit like that, but then she just fucking rando fucking comes back for... I don't even know why! I mean, Junpei pretty much had finished that kind of shit later on. I know I sound like I'm kind of going a little bit weird, but... the issues that I had were kind of like... the story... which aren't completely bad, but then influenced with Tartarus of the main gameplay thing of like, alright, this kind of sucks. It's, like, the remake isn't probably as bad as, like, the original. There's at least more kind of design variety, but the dungeons that were in Persona 5 are better. And even Mementos kind of worked out a little bit better because of, like, how it was kind of designed since it was done later. and then the social links, it all kind of links together. So you're pretty much a transfer student, and then you pretty much get roped into like fighting these shadows and everything and trying to investigate Tartarus with this is Kutsuki dude, and in this whole kind of siege you're introduced to Yukari, pretty much activating your persona with the evoker, pretty much death, yes, I accept death and shit like that. Talking with this little kid dude who you find out is death later on, and then the whole kind of Ryoji kind of, not Ryuji, Ryoji, kind of pops up later. It's like, alright, I'm like seeing a lot of kind of cool stuff. I'm the appraiser, I'm like this whole thing with Nyx, and evidently all these shadows that you fight, which are your boss ones, are pretty much portions of death that pretty much link back together. It's like, yeah, Nyx is coming. It's humanity wishing for death and all that kind of stuff. It's like, why is she coming now? Like, I understand that you're trying to do this kind of whole thing about like death and all that, and we get this whole kind of cult thing and everything, and it kind of works for what kind of goes on with the times and everything, but like, why is this kind of like happening? Like, you're not examining why these people wish for death. Yes, there's certain kind of circumstances and stuff, but there's like things that you can do to kind of fix that, or at least attempt to do society kind of ways, which kind of works into the realm of like the Phantom themes. That's kind of what they were doing, and be like, fuck you assholes, eat shit, fuck off, motherfucker, kind of shit. It's like, alright, yeah, okay. See, this is where it gets kind of gnarly. Like, Aigis was made to defeat shadows and shit like that. We see her pretty much becoming more human. The thing is, you kind of have to be a human, just like summon a shadow. So it's like, yeah, you're just like pretty much human in a robot body. And Kutsuki was pretty much trying to do this with this fall kind of thing, tying also with Mitsuru Kirijo's grandfather. And she loses her father as well, trying to stop Akutsuki, who pretty much falls off Tartarus, because they both kind of shoot each other. It's like, alright, cool. We at least get the character development on Mitsuru, trying to figure out what's kind of going on, and trying to process that information. But we pretty much do the kind of social kind of sim aspects, which are, I see it as the building foundation of what pretty much leads to Persona 5, where it's kind of a little bit more executed, to my opinion. I mean, I'm not saying that this is a worse kind of game, but this is the game that came first. So, yes, trying to bolt on stuff from Persona 5 somewhat helps, but this wasn't designed that completely way, as where Persona 5 is that kind of evolution of how it kind of worked out. So you can't really bolt it completely. And then that doesn't help certain kind of just content of like, alright, cool, we do the tests and everything, we do this, and then we go through the social links, and it's like, oh, we got Knee Dude. I know he's got a name, but he's just this fucking idiot that fucks up his knee, and it's like, I have to go through this shit to get these personas to be better fighting. Because it does this, if you've played another kind of Persona game, you get your personas, you level them up, you fuse them, you get skills, you got to make sure that you got the right skills for buffs, debuffs, attack damage, and everything to fight the enemies in Tartarus. And then also the endgame boss, which has 14 health bars, because you go through all the Arcana. I wish they'd change that shit up, but okay. Was interesting that they linked it with Ryoji pretty much being the avatar kind of thing, but I've got some notes. We'll dive into that a little bit later. No, where the fuck are you? There we go, my notes. Let's see. The fighting god at the end is too big of an escalation, the avatar death itself, because we pretty much go through this as like, we don't know if we're going to be able to beat them. It's like, alright, because this is a big aspect. You're pretty much fighting death itself. Okay, if it's avatared into your world, that means it's got a weak spot. You might not kill death, but you can kill that avatar if you follow those kind of rules. This doesn't. So we're essentially just fighting it and using our social links to spirit bomb this to get this universe card for our protagonist, who then utilizes this to use his soul as a seal, and he pretty much like passes away. Now, the ending is more ambiguous. The answer is pretty much like, he's fucking dead, and deals with the whole kind of grief aspect of the Seas team, and I guess specifically after that. Yes, I've looked into it. However, this is one of the weird kind of aspects where I think the ambiguous ending works in its favor, and it would be like, okay, he's pretty much looks tired, and pretty much goes to sleep or kind of dies. I think it would have been better off on that kind of effect, because then you go into the whole kind of Nyx kind of aspect, and it makes this escalation of it too big. Like, I wish that if they were going with like sacrifices and death and kind of Messiah kind of things, that they went on a smaller kind of scale. Because if all it took was like this whole kind of thing of a kind of seal thing, why hasn't this been kind of done before, over and over, kind of learning more about that? Or I thought they would have went on a lower, like, you don't have to always completely escalate to fighting some kind of god thing at the end. I thought they could have, like, Strega seemed to be like useless at that point. Like, we have to fight Jin and Takai, who are like these guys that were forced in by the Kirjo group to awaken their personas because of their experiments. And they're like, yes, we want Nyx to initiate the fall. It's like, but it's unstoppable. So why the fuck are you... Why are you trying to stop these people when you pretty much think or know that they are going to fail? Because it's a game, and we need boss fights. We already did all the rest of the shadows... And I guess we need damage gate numbers and shit. Like, it's really kind of weird when I could look at these two and say, narratively, they don't need to be boss battles here. You could have just put you could have made two shadows. Cerberus one, Cerberus, dog guard of the underworld. Guardian of Nyx's kind of thing, to test if you are ready to go up and fight Nyx. I don't, like, if you were going for the smaller tier route, with, like, Strega attempting to, like, destroy the country, or, like, destroy Gekukan High, the high school that you pretty much do most of the stuff at the game, I would have accepted that more. It's pretty bad when I feel that the sacrifice of, Aragaki, one of your key group, trying to protect Ken, who's, we got the link up that, Aragaki's persona went wild and led to Ken's mother's death, and he was pretty much going to kill his ass. However, Takaya is like, fuck that shit, and pretty much tries to shoot at Ken, and Aragaki sacrifices himself to save Ken. I would have thought that the main protagonist could have done along a similar kind of route, saying that, like, Takaya and Jin were attempting to do some kind of thing to blow up the school or kill all these people or everything like that, and the main protagonist could sacrifice themselves to do that. That seems to be more along the lines of what I think would have been better because of scale. With Nyx, it's like, this is an unstoppable force, this is death. It's like, alright, then how do you stop it? See, that's the fucking thing. When you make a narrative kind of point of like, how do we stop this thing? It's like, fuck. That's writes you kind of into a corner. Either you make it that their avatar that they would make, like they would take over a person, and that's their kind of avatar to unleash their kind of thing, and they need to reach a certain kind of critical point or whatnot, and then you can just fucking kill it. Otherwise, you get into a scenario of, okay, this thing's unstoppable. Why is one dude getting a little bit of a power-up from his social link contacts, able to spirit bomb that shit, and then just seal you with his soul? Maybe? If that works, what if there's like a Pokeball kind of thing where you just get enough souls and fucking punch your ass into some other fucking dimension? You know, like, alright. Like, and then we get the escalation of pretty much Strega with like Takaya and Jin pretty much drumming up people's kind of stuff of wishing for death. And it's like, okay, the thing is, this is a kind of catch-22 kind of scenario. There are certain kind of circumstances where people are going to wish for death. This is complete manipulation of getting people into kind of like a social kind of, or a mental kind of disease kind of thing, or viral kind of thing. I know I'm not trying to go into the kind of stupid shit that fucking assholes on the internet are going for with that, like, other kind of shit. But this seems to have been like, it just spread, and people are like, oh fuck man, apathy syndrome, wishing for death and all that kind of stuff. It's like, okay, but this is a complete manipulation of it, and this thing's like, alright, because here's the thing. If we're going along these lines, and evidently the Nyx had fucking done this before, because if it done it before, shouldn't we not exist then? If it, like, wiped out all life? Like, I almost needed them to do a kind of counterbalance to this of like, for there to be life, for there to be death, there must also be life. Like, and then for life, there must be death. There's a balance here. Like, if Nick's won, there's nothing. And then if that's gone, it's gone. Thereby doing its own kind of thing of like, everything dies. It's just like, alright. So that's mainly the plot and everything kind of elemental-wise kind of done in. The design of Tartarus probably works a little bit better with whatever kind of... I never played the original, and I didn't play the P3 portable, even though I have it digitally through like Xbox that I could also play on PC, but I was fine with what they kind of worked here, and I'm like, I don't care enough about the themes and the characters really for that. I mean, I like Junpei trying to kind of come to terms with himself. Same with Yukari, understanding her mom, trying to get over her fear of death, understanding her father's role of working with the Kyojo group, and then being like, fuck this shit, and then unleashing the shadows because this is not cool. Fuck you, assholes. End all life. Fuck you, dick shit. If you want to go, that's cool. That's your choice. Do that shit. But don't make that choice for everybody else. Akihiko is a pretty kind of cool character of like trying to get stronger and getting kind of dogmatic on that. I mean, I understand the training and looking into protein and shit like that. And it's just like, what the fuck, man? It's like, I got this shit. Mitsuru, being the kind of like studious one and trying to do best by her family. I really kind of connected her with that on that kind of level, but she kind of sacrificed herself and then kind of came to that kind of realization, brought herself back. Aragaki was there for a little bit, but then like, poof. Then we get the elementary school kid, Ken, who's always in shorts, even in winter. I don't get that. And then we got a dog. Not a mascot of like stuffed animal or even on a Morgana level. It's an actual dog that can utilize a persona. And we've got a robot that can utilize a persona, but I'm like, all right, where the... I mean, the dog's cool. I like dogs. It's just like, all right, what the fuck are you doing? And then there's like Teddy, evidently, in Persona 4, which I haven't played. But I liked Morgana being pretty much like a cognitive kind of thing, at least worked out on that level. So I'm like, yeah. Then we get like Art Club dude. Oh my god, his social link was fucking insane because the last one, he pretty much was like, I'm gonna go do this kind of stuff. And then like, oh, this woman collapses. Oh, that man collapses. It's like, oh, let me guess, you're gonna be a doctor, even though I've painted this 5 fucking things ago. Student council dude trying to investigate this cigarette smoking incident. Treasurer, track team person, that's manager woman, then fucking Knee-Man. Bebe, the foreign exchange student, he was at least decent enough. Gourmet King kind of linked up with another kind of cult, but then kind of just drops it. Book people at the bookstore. Maya Online. That one linked Miss Toriomi had the best ending of them all, because you fight and defeat Nyx, do the whole kind of seal, but evidently lives long enough for like 2 months. And then you kind of like go and check in on all your social links. She of course sees his phone with the screenshot that Maya sent and freaks the fuck out, asks him to dinner, and then is still just like, oh, it's the best, like, I guess a social link, yeah, her learning to be more human and understanding and getting the romance with the main character, sure. This one, Toriu, where she's like, oh, freaking out. It's so well done. I mean, it almost kind of makes up for the other ones, but I mean, like, I really didn't care about the other social links. Like, I cared more about the different kind of social links in Persona 5 than in this one. And on its own, I would think that I would like its exploration of death as a theme, but it just does the same, like, it does your typical kind of stuff, and it would have worked execution-wise with the rest of the characters, but then it escalates beyond the point where it just completely almost nuts itself. Where it's like, yeah. Boom. I'm like, all right, what was going on with Aragaki, with Ken, with understanding what's going on with the shadows and trying to help people and everything like that. All right, and then it's like, this is next. This is pretty much the unstoppable death. Like, okay, you're going to create some problems there, aren't you? Yep. Not the least of which is shitty fucking practices of selling DLC. Sega, get out your ass and stop this shit. If you are doing a remake of Persona 3 and you're trying to do the kind of definitive edition, you include the DLC with it and price it accordingly. If you have to wait until that's done, the DLC, fucking do it and release a finished product. And also, don't nickel and dime motherfuckers for basic gaming features. If you need to hit a certain profit margin, build that into your formulas and forecasts. This is coming from the finance man, the data dude, the fucking guy that works with the goddamn numbers. Don't do this shit. Just like in the Like a Dragon series, the Yakuza series, don't fucking take New Game Plus out. If you build an RPG correctly, and you connect with people, they are going to want to replay it again. I love Dragon Quest XI. One of my favorite RPGs. I've played it on PlayStation. I've played it on Xbox. I'm going to play it again on PC because it is just that good of an RPG. And normally, like, I know you're like, oh, that's different kind of versions of shit. Yeah, but I support that motherfucker because I love that motherfucker. I liked Persona 5. And if you'd taken the ability out of doing a kind of New Game Plus, because did that with Infinite Wealth, it's shit. Like, there doesn't need to be that kind of anti-consumerism shit going on. If you are doing a remake of, like, Persona 3, you try and do that remake combining as much as possible, because there's Persona 3, the answer, portable, and that even had the ability of a female protagonist. That does not exist in here. So, yes, you have a version that you have remade that you have done the same stupid fucking shit with. It's like, So, I don't even, I completely understand how other people, even before getting into this game, if this is one of your favorite ones and these motherfuckers doing this shit, it's like, no, don't do that. Now, I don't know if it's Sega, if it's Atlus, what kind of goes on. Whoever it is, it's shitty fucking business. And at some point, it's going to crack your ass more than the crack that's already there, and it's not going to be pretty. Okay? Like, you dance in the fine line of trying to be that double A, triple A kind of shit, and you're just be like, I'm going to monetize everything. I'm going to make it, it's a bad business model where you're like, okay, I don't mind, like, if a game is finished and then you decide to create DLC for it later. I'm sorry, like, it could seem ranty and kind of tangentish, but this affects what kind of goes on, because I'm not going to play Episode I guess, especially since what I've seen is like, oh god, you like Tartarus? Haha! No, I don't. Thank you very much. I will look into other kind of shit with it. But that's a kind of big thing. Like, we've got games that have risen in price, are told that they are not profitable at those prices, at moving millions of units, and need to have microtransactions and DLCs and everything like that, while they're laying off the people that fucking make them and giving bonuses to people that don't give a fucking shit or do a fucking thing to it. I'm the CEO. I'm gonna make fucking $3 million more. Yeah. Hey, how about you fucking don't? So, this is a game that I did have fun with. I did have fun working within the turn-based system. Shifting kind of strategy kind of worked. It didn't feel as smooth to me as Persona 5 for some reason, but maybe that's down to UI, characters, how the battle kind of system and menu kind of system kind of worked with me. I'd put it down to a little bit more on the kind of subjective kind of front on that kind of thing. So if you're like, you sound like you're fucking on shit, you dumb fucker. Sure, yeah, it just didn't feel as good, even though that's the kind of more kind of fun aspects that was kind of going on. It's really kind of weird because I had more of a kind of balance on Persona 5 where I had fun doing the social stuff as well as the dungeon stuff. Here, those were both kind of scaled back to me, whereas I had more fun with the dungeon stuff, even though I didn't like the dungeon itself. Because I would run around, I was able to figure out how to level myself up. I pretty much over-leveled myself on a lot of stuff to get more money and everything like that, to follow the guide to make sure that I could do kind of shit. But it didn't hamper my enjoyment. I didn't feel like everything was a fucking breeze. I still had to fucking understand what buttons and attacks and buffs and debuffs to do. Good Jesus, the fucking secret boss. Whoa, you need certain kind of setups for that, and that was kind of bullshit. And then also, Nyx as the last one. Oh my god, it essentially was like a boss rush of doing all the rest of the bosses of the other shadows before in this one thing. Why would you fucking do that? That's not a very fun kind of boss. And then going through the Arcana, where it was switching to these different kind of boss types. Sounds good on paper. But when it's like, we shall do this by the art, like, the character just keeps, like, the avatar's talking about the droning on of the Arcana and shit, and it's just like, oh my god. Stop, please. It's like 14 fucking health bars. So, well, others had better kind of boss designs later, so it was learned from, so yeah. Ugh. I don't know if I would recommend this to new Persona fans. It's really kind of strange with this series. With like Final Fantasy, I could probably still recommend certain kind of installments to people, even if they don't particularly fit with me. This, I would almost go along the lines of, if you're new to Persona, I would really recommend the newer Personas because of the evolutions. Final Fantasy works in a different kind of realm where they're pretty much self-contained and do their own kind of thing. Personas, yes, the stories are kind of self-contained, or at least work within certain kind of realms depending upon what fucking goes on with them. But each new one iterates on previous elements utilized in the series, so it's like you have to kind of watch out for, like, you're trying to tell people to go back to play it. Now, if you played this and you liked the original Persona 3 or Persona 3 Portable, I would definitely argue that you might not have as much enjoyment out of this one, but it's a way to play Persona 3 on newer hardware, so I have to be like that and be like, yay! Though you can play Persona 3 Portable on PC, because they did release that prior to this, so I would almost go if you're into that, but it doesn't have the answer. And this is the problem. There is no definitive edition of this motherfucker that has the answer. Persona 3 Portable's female line character, and all that kind of... You money grab motherfuckers. Yeah, that's... sorry, working through it and like, that's not cool, motherfucker. So I would more say that this is for people that are really interested in the explorations of death and what kind of goes on with them, and are kind of fine with the kind of a little bit more shallow kind of social links. They're not completely shallow where it's like, I'm a complete cardboard cutout, but just watch out for them. Now, that also goes on the subjectivity kind of line, where they just didn't grab my ass, and it's just like, nope. The main cast grabbed me more than that, but not as much as Persona 5. So, yes, there's that subjectivity kind of thing on that. So, if you want to check it out, I don't think you'll be completely screwed over, but figure out if you want base or if you want all of this stuff, and find that stuff on sale together if you can. Yeah, it's a really kind of weird one where I'd almost, like, you could really kind of compare this to Final Fantasy, but I think each one iterates enough that if you go back, you're going to have a harder time on certain kind of things. Even though this one bolts on as much of Persona 5's kind of stuff that they have iterated on, it still kind of didn't help me out on certain things. So I don't say that this is a bad game, but it's a really kind of fucked up kind of one. I know you'd probably be like, that sounds stupid. You say it's not a bad game, but it's a fucked up kind of one. Yeah, because I was able to go through and be like, they didn't make this as a definitive version. They mainly remade Persona 3 and then bolted on the DLC at the end to be like, hey, we're doing it just like the beginning. It's like, fuck that noise. That ain't cool. Bad business decision. Yeah, if you're more of a fan of Persona 5, I don't know what your enjoyment level is going to be out of it. I'd say if most of the stuff that I've talked about that I don't really like, that is more on the subjective spectrum, doesn't really affect you, go ahead and check it out and see what kind of goes on and if you enjoy it. Yeah. And if you completely disagree with me and love this fucking thing, that's awesome. That's cool. Ignore my ass and give me no thought and just be like, that dude's an asshole. I love this shit. That's cool. Alright, do that. It's fucking awesome. Ignore me. But if what I have said has helped you at all, to either go for it or just be like, you know what, I kind of want to go check out some Let's Plays or whatnot, see how people kind of go through it. Definitely do that. Try and find any kind of thing to look it up. We need more demos and shit for games. Steam has done a lot of stuff with that. I hope the consoles kind of do that a little bit more as well. Again, demos are needed to check it out. Talk to other people in your friends group that have played it and go with it, because there is value out of this. There's funny moments, heartfelt moments, everything that kind of goes on with that. I did feel and have those kind of things, but not as much as Persona 5. So those are my opinions on the game. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also, like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.